So let's continue on with Mishnah Ches, Perek Gimel, Avodah Zarah, Mishnah Ches. Again, to recall something that we mentioned in the previous learning in Avodah Zarah, is that the Chachamim made a gezerah. The Chachamim made a gezerah that any idolatrous offerings transmit tumah. They transmit tumah by way of tumas oil, just like a corpse, just like a mace. And therefore, just like with the tumah of a mace, if people or utensils, kalim, or food are under one roof with an idolatrous offering, they become tamei. It's interesting that the Chachamim based this gezerah on a pasuk in Tehillim, which refers to idolatrous offerings as zivchei mesim, offerings of the dead. Keep in mind that an idol itself, however, was not subject to this decree. And although it does transmit tumah in other ways, as we learned before, it does not transmit tumah by way of tumas oil. An idol itself does not transmit tumah through tumas oil, only the idolatrous offerings. Now, in the area of an idol, such as that beneath an Asherah tree, there are presumably remains of idolatrous offerings where they used to bring their Avodah Zarah offerings, their Zivchei Avodah Zarah. So this Mishnah now discusses the halachas of one who goes beneath an Eit Asherah, one who goes beneath an Asherah tree, and other halachas that apply to the Asherah tree that we learned in the previous Mishnah. So the Mishnah begins by saying, Lo yeshev betzila. A person may not sit in the shade of an Asherah, even if the place where he's sitting is not directly beneath the tree, since it is also to have it's also to have benefit from an idol. That is, that one may not sit even in the long shadow of the tree. One may not sit even in the long shadow of the tree in the early and late parts of the day when the sun is low in the sky, even though not much benefit is provided by the shade. And certainly, it's also to sit directly under the tree. Certainly, it's also to sit directly under the tree. V'im yosha, nevertheless, says the Mishnah, if he did sit there in the area that is not directly beneath the tree, the halacha is tohor, he's tohor. Even though there are idolatrous offerings under the tree, he does not become tomei as long as he did not go under the tree. And the Mishnah continues, V'lo yavo tachteya. A person may also not pass under the tree. Since we are required to distance ourselves from idols. That's the general halacha by Avodah Zarah. V'im ovar, and if he did pass under the tree, tamei, then he's tamei, because there are surely idolatrous offerings under the tree, which, as we said before, transmit tumah through tumas oil. So therefore, if he did pass under the tree, he's tamei. Now, says the Mishnah, what about if oisa gazelas is arabim, if an Asherah tree was robbing the public, what does it mean that the Asherah tree was robbing the public? It means that if the branches of the tree overhang an area that is meant for public use, for Rishus Harabim. People walk there. It's a public street, public public road, and the branches from the Asherah overhang into the Rishus Harabim. And a person passes underneath it. Says the Mishnah Toho. He's Toho. Why is he Toho? Because the Chachamim made this Gezerah of Tuma only as long as the tree does not disrupt, only as long as the tree does not interfere with the public's right of way. As long as it doesn't interfere with the public's right of way. Says the Mishnah weiter, V'zoirim tachteya yerokos b'mei hageshomim. A person may plant vegetables under an Asherah during the winter months when the shade harms the vegetables, so the shade is not doing it any good. Fakert, it's doing it harm, right? Because during the winter, the tree blocks the limited sunlight, says the Rav, right? The Rav says, Yerochas b'mois hageshomim sha'ilan kosher lahem. The tree is no good for it. Why is it not good for it? Because it blocks the limited amount of sun that there is in the winter time. So therefore, zorim tachtea yerokas b'mois hageshomim. But not during the summer when the shade benefits them. During the summer, the tree protects the vegetables from getting too much sunlight, from being burned, from drying out. So lo b'mois hachama. But ve'achazorin lo b'mois hachama v'lo b'mois hageshomim. But lettuce, however, may be planted. Lettuce, however, may be planted neither during the summer nor during the winter, because the shade benefits. But the shade benefited all year long. The Rav explains that even the weak winter sun can dry the lettuce out. The tree that blocks out the sunlight is therefore beneficial for it. The Rav says, "Shehatzel yofel lahem la'olam." The shade is always good for it, and therefore it cannot be planted. Lo b'mois hachama v'lo b'mois hageshomim. And Rabbi Yossi adds and says, "Af lo yerokos b'mois hageshomim." A person may not even plant vegetables under the Asherah tree, not even during the winter, because the leaves fall onto them, and that is a benefit. And they become fertilizer for them. So they're having a no. The Gemara explains that in actuality, Rabbi Yossi permits planting the vegetables under the tree. This we also see clearly from his position in Mishnah Gimel with regard to the dust of the idol. Remember the dust of the idol, where Rabbi Yossi holds that we do not forbid the product of a combination of forbidden and permitted items. And here too, since the forbidden leaves merely contribute, they enhance the growth of the vegetables, along with the permitted water and sunlight and soil. So the vegetables do not become prohibited. But in truth, the Gemara explains that Rabbi Yossi's comment here is addressed to the Chachomim who are choilek on him there, challenging them as follows, says Rabbi Yossi to them. Keviyochel. Since you hold that crops that grow as a result of a combination of forbidden and permitted items are forbidden, you hold Chachamim over there with the soil, with the dust. Why do you permit planting vegetables under the tree in the winter? He says to them, the forbidden leaves, which serve as a fertilizer, should make them also. Okay, Atkan.